Okay, hello Cloud Gurus and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, we're going to look at VPC flow logs. So what is a VPC flow log? Well, VPC flow logs is a feature that enables you to capture information about the IP traffic going to and from network interfaces within your VPC. And flow log data is stored using Amazon CloudWatch logs. And after you've created a flow log, you can view and retrieve data in Amazon CloudWatch logs. So it's just a way of basically going ahead and storing all the network traffic that's going on in your VPC. And flow logs can be created at three different levels. You can do it at the VPC level, you can do it at an actual subnet level, and then you can go all the way down to your network interface level, so down to your ENIs as well. So let's have a look at how this works in the AWS console. Okay, so I'm in the AWS console. We need to go over to our VPC, which is under Network Content and Delivery. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to our VPCs and we're going to select our custom VPC. And we're going to go over to Actions and we're going to go ahead and hit Create Flow Log. Now we have our different filters in here. We could just go ahead and if you're uncertain what it means, just click up here. But this is basically the type of traffic to be logged. So you can choose all to log accepted and rejected traffic, or you can just choose to accept to log rejected traffic or accepted traffic only. I'm going to go ahead and select all. I want to go ahead and log everything. Now, in terms of your destination, you can send it to CloudWatch logs or you can send it to an S3 bucket. I'm going to send it to CloudWatch logs. In here, it says destination log groups. You have to go in and enter your log destination group. Because we haven't done it, we're going to have to go over to CloudWatch. So let's go over here and we're going to always find CloudWatch under Management and Governance. And we're going to have to create a new log group for this. So to do that, all we need to do is go over to our logs. And what we're going to do is go in and say, let's get started. And we're going to go in and create a log group. And I'm going to call this VPC flow logs. And that's my log group in there. Now that we've done that, we just go back to VPC, which is under Network Content and Delivery. And we'll go back to our VPCs and we'll click in here and we'll go to our actions. And then we're going to go ahead and hit Create Flow Log. Again, I'm just going to change this back to all, and then we're going to see our VPC flow logs in there. IAM role, we haven't actually created an IAM role for this yet. So what you can do is just click here, set up permissions. That will then open up a new tab for you, and you're just going to create a new IAM role. We're going to call it flow logs role. You can see the policy document in here, but I'm just going to go ahead and hit allow. And then that will take me back to my VPC section, which was a little bit frustrating. But if you just open up the old tab, you should now be able to see it in here. And you might just have to click in here to refresh it. But there we go, flow logs roles. And so now I'm going to go ahead and create my flow log, and my flow log has now been created. So that is now sending all my traffic to my CloudWatch logs groups. If I go back over to here, we can go into CloudWatch. And so basically it's monitoring all IP traffic, and it's going to be in here logs, and you'll be able to see it in there. Now it will take a while for this to propagate. You can go ahead and force the logs to propagate by just going and visiting your website and refreshing. My network ACL is still blocking my public IP address, so that should hopefully be logged in the flow logs. And I've just gone back to my flow logs and I can see that it's been logged in here. I can go and look at the log stream, and this is the data in here. So we can see essentially this IP address is now trying to access our private IP, and it's being rejected. And don't worry, you don't really need to know how to read this for the Certified Solutions Architect Associate exam. You definitely need to understand it for both advanced networking and security specialty. So we do cover it in a lot more detail in those courses. So onto my exam tips. Just going into your exam, remember the following. You cannot enable flow logs for So onto my exam tips. Going into your exam, you should remember the following. You cannot enable flow logs for VPCs that appeared with your VPC unless the peer VPC is in your account. So in other words, you can definitely have VPC flow logs between peered VPCs, but they need to be within the same AWS account. You can't do this across accounts. You can now tag flow logs, so you can attach tags to your flow logs. And after you've created a flow log, you cannot change its configuration. For example, you can't go in and associate a different IAM role with the flow log. You know how we can change IAM roles with EC2? Well, you can't do that with flow logs. Once you create the flow log and set its configuration, that's it. It's set in stone. Also remember that not all IP traffic is monitored. Traffic generated by instances when they contact the Amazon DNS server, that's not going to be monitored. If you use your own DNS server, then all traffic to that DNS server will be logged. Traffic generated by Windows instances for Amazon Windows licensing activation is not going to be monitored. And then traffic to and from 169.254.169.254 for instance metadata. If you remember, we did that in the EC2 section of the course. And then DHCP traffic is not monitored as well as traffic to the reserved IP addresses for the default VPC router. So that is it for VPC flow logs. Very, very straightforward. In the next lecture, we're going to compare NATs versus bastions, and then we're going to go on to VPC endpoints, and then we finish the VPC section of the course. So if you've got the time, please join me in the next lecture. Thank you.